You better realize in life urgencies are part of the current condition. People sometimes think, well, I know what's going on here, and they look at it as like a still picture. Situations are always moving in one direction or the other, and you want to be on the side of improving them. If I took a poll, what would you think of the media? Okay, so stop laughing at me. It's never been popular, but it's least popular now because it does the least of what it was invented to do. Our local media was invented to cover local news. Do we need a traffic light? Was the local bank robbed? Are new businesses opening up on Main Stream? Are little old ladies safe when they cross the street? This kind of thing. We're really not all about the world every single day and these terrible tragedies which break our heart. But they take up all of our time on the news, and then we don't find out what's going on where we live. Enter Starcom and KKRP 1610 on the AM dial, Callington, Oklahoma. Here's what they do. They do the opposite. They're a local small-town station. They cover local small-town issues, which happen to be not such easy issues. Everything I mentioned before, plus Tornado Alley, plus devastation after horrible storms, and then sometimes it happens again. Most recently, a local state college, Carl Albert, on the Sallisaw campus to be specific, had an evacuation from a threat. 250 students were evacuated, and the local establishment media, the usual suspects, we like to call them, were unavailable to cover it. They mentioned it. It got mentioned. It did not get covered. Who did cover it? The people at KKRP worked the phones, spoke to those in charge, reported it on the air, and we, on our network show, which includes KKRP as one of our affiliates, we carried it comprehensively and correctly. You say, well, gee, that sounds like a great story. That's the end of that. Not by a long shot. What was not able to happen that day, and what you can make happen, is that KKRP could have gone to the campus, spoken to students, spoken to security, and found out information relevant to that community, the extent of the threat, the result of the investigation. Making phone calls is the beginning of doing news. Going to where news is and covering it is journalism. KKRP believes, as I do, in local news journalism. Corporations like Clear Channel, Cumulus, Viacom, and others have come into towns and said, we will keep our commitment to local news coverage. None of them sent a soccer mom's van with a reporter, not a lot of gasoline to get there, not a lot of hours on the clock, but just the actual coverage of it was never on the plan that day by the local establishment media. KKRP 1610, along with its FM partner in the building, they are small, Part 15 local, extremely local radio stations. Radio stations for a town, radio stations for 1,000 or so, maybe 5,000, depending on the story, reaching up to 10,000 people in relevance. Numbers that corporate media could never afford to care about, even if they did. So this dedication is not something that yields a huge profit for KKRP. There isn't someone living up on a hill looking down on all the little people like William Randolph Hearst. It's just a member of the community doing what the original obligation of broadcasters was and is 94 years later. You can donate. You can get your friends excited about this because it's worth it. Go to fundraiser.com/campaigns/5IRN6. Go to fundraiser.com/campaigns/5IRN6. And you heard about it here on the Ed Till Show because I have been intimately involved with local news. I have lost sleep over local news. My time and a half was $8 an hour. Yeah, I got an extra $2.50 or something to go out and do the extra. So this is really how I started busting ass, sweating over, sacrificing, not trying to get rich over local news 30 years ago. It's very nice that the West Palm Beach Post had put my picture in there, honored the station for having someone to receive that award. And I have to say to you, journalism awards are not discussed much anymore because people don't think of journalists as people worthy of any kind of award. So I believe in changing that. This is not good. We've not done a good thing in the way we've changed. We're going back to local news. And how? With a soccer mom's van and a local Part 15 AM, FM radio station in a small town like Cowlington can cover Carl Albert State College, Sallisaw campus, and that's that. That is the First Amendment. That is the invention of radio. That has nothing to do with an app or Silicon Valley or drink the water or don't drink the water or climate change or Richard Nixon or, Paul Ryan's budget. It's just the way it is. That's the function. It's in the Constitution. It's a free press. It's covering the news. It's covering how the community operates, for better or for, you don't like it, you open up your own. Say, well, geez, I don't think that radio station does such a good job. Very good. Open up your own radio station. Radio stations serve a function. They've been bastardized, and now KKRP is showing the way back. How do they do this? By getting a used soccer mom's van, sticking some cheap gas in there, getting a reporter to the scene, and scooping every network that's a household word to you. NBC, not there. ABC affiliate, not there. By the way, in your city, do they have affiliates? So they go, hi, we're local news, and coming up at 7 on with Diane Sawyer. Do they do that with you? Coming up at 6 o'clock with CBS, and right? They do. Scott Pelley is coming up, right? They do that with you. Tomorrow morning on the Today Show, they do that with you, right? They can't wait to tell you how much they love the big networks. Oh, you know which network we're with, and tonight on Fox. Tonight, they can't wait to tell you. Fox, ABC, Fox. And nobody's at Sallisaw campus. 250 students at a local institution funded with your taxpayer money, and there's no interest. Or pardon me, because they would say, that's not fair, Ed. You're right. As interested as they might have been, they were absent. So who wants a van to go cover it? Do you see Viacom saying, we'll make sure that you wish. You see Clear Channel saying out there, well, we're going to dedicate, after that Sallisaw campus threat, we heard Ed Till. Boy, I'll tell you, he made a great point. I'll tell you, some other guy brought up the same point as Ed Till. That's really, we're going to take, you think you're going to hear that? You could wait till hell freezes over and the whores come back to church. The guy said the other day, he goes, guy was nervous. I go, how nervous? He goes, nervous as a whore in church. I go, that's a good point. You know what? I bet you she would be. I bet you she would be. All right, enough kidding around. You're gonna do this thing because it's the right. I know you're gonna. I'll tell you why I know you're gonna do it. You could do this the way many things happen. How did they invent Facebook? Anger. You could do this out of anger. You hate the absence of local news. You hate that there's no role for it at Clear Channel, Viacom, Cumulus. You name it. Whatever big mega corporation owns your media, you and I know there's just no room for local news. Now there will be. Our good friends at KKRP showed us the way less than 2 weeks ago. Now they ask for your support to get a soccer mom's. I mean, it's so great. They're asking for like next to nothing. It's next to nothing to do local news. I mean, honestly, I don't think you could buy a good set of golf clubs. I'm not kidding. With how you can put together, with some ingenuity, a great news van. All right, here we go. Local news coverage. Go to fundraiser, fundrazr.com /campaigns. Then it's number 5, IRN number 6. That's 5IRN6. Fundraiser.com/campaigns/5IRN6. It is so worthy of your time and your dollars because you know the bad guys are funding their stuff, man. The rich and powerful who control the mainstream media, man, they got all the coverage they want. They're not going to give that coverage to Sallisaws campus of Carl Albert State College. No way. That's not going to happen. They're not going to go over there for that. They would need some blood and guts and gore and sensational, ugly, repulsive video in order to go. The beautiful thing about small town local radio like KKRP, the really great thing is they do it because it just needs to be done. And it doesn't take a king's ransom to do it. Go to fundraiser.com/campaigns 5IRN6.